The Grumpy Gits are back for 2023, and in this episode we talk The Apprentice. Is it the best in the business vying for a senior position in Lord Sugar's empire, or a group of idiots competing for the title of Arsehole of the Year? We look at the ongoing strikes covering the UK and ask what can be done to rescue these essential services, whilst honouring the rights of workers. What is inspiration porn, and is it okay? We examine the true meaning of inspiration and whether it has its place. All this and your usual favourites, including See You Next Tuesday and our usual banter and BS. So kick back, enjoy a treat, and remember, don't be grumpy alone.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever in the world you happen to be consuming this media. And a happy 2023 to all of you. We at the Grumpy Gits have taken our New Year, New Me bullshit and already thrown it out the window. As always, I am your glorious host, Adam Pearson, and I am not alone. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I made a New Year's resolution to make better friends. It's not gone well. I still have the same friends. Up first, the legend from Stone. That's right, as in rock, paper, that's not right. Yeah, I've messed this up.
Lord.
But I'm going to roll with it. Chris
Wow.
Lee Smith, how are you, good sir?
I'm good now. But I had a rough Christmas and New Year period because I ran out of medication, which turned me a little bit crazy.
A little bit. Do nothing.
Did it turn you into the Cookie Monster?
It turned me into, much like my lighting, the Hulk.
I would say
patience.
Cookie Monster, Oscar the Grouch. If you're going
Yeah.
for the Sesame Street, it's Oscar.
Yeah, but apart from that, I got back on them, and I'm fresh as a daisy now. I'm good.
That is good to hear. I was doing some last minute Christmas shopping out in Croydon, tripped over, didn't catch myself, hands with bags in, ate the pavement, broke a bone in my jaw. So I've been on liquids since the 24th.
Is that your excuse for not doing Dry January?
Well, my excuse to that is I have a birthday on the 6th, so I now am doing Dry January. I always start it on like the 7th and then go for as long as I can. But I'm currently living that Yule lifestyle. And you know what? It's not bad. I quite like it. And up next, here's the Thunder from Down Under. That's not a podcast. This is a podcast. Duncan Casburn, how are you, my friend?
I'm in the post-Christmas New Year haze. We've got so much going on here at the moment. I'm genuinely more forgetful than I've ever been. We've experienced it a few times already today. I had a conversation with Chris earlier today, completely gone from my memory.
45-minute conversation. He didn't remember any of it.
I did once he'd said, we talked about it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm pregnant. I think that may explain the stomach. It might just be that I've got the whole preggy brain thing happening. It's that sort of realm.
And there you have it, listeners. Hashtag Preggy Brain. And finally, you know him, you love him, because you legally have to. Simon Sampson, how are you?
I'm okay, mate. It's the January blues. It's setting in. I booked a holiday. Yay!
Yay!
Looking forward to go for that. And
Is it Spain?
It's Spain.
Yeah. Is it just your apartment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, I mean, it's nice to have an apartment in Spain.
It's just
No,
when
you're
you
right,
said
'cause
holiday.
You don't mention it nearly enough.
The thing is I have been quite miserable.
And before we crack on, Simon, one more question. What's the 3-letter word that starts with gas?
I don't know why.
A 3-letter word that starts with gas.
Why?
That's W.
That's a 3-letter
W.
word.
Yeah,
But it starts with
yeah.
W.
That's not
No, it starts with W. Doesn't start with gas.
Why?
It's just a riddle.
Could someone hit him? I think he's stuck.
I thought you were smarter than this.
I've driven from the South Coast today. I've been in meetings all afternoon in the News UK. I am so tired that I've got no common sense whatsoever at the moment.
But you still managed to name drop in that small section.
Who did I name drop?
I was at News UK. Oh yeah.
Oh no, that was just a meeting online. That wasn't at News UK. I was in East Sussex.
What is a 3-letter word that starts with gas?
I'm dyslexic. I can't do this. I honestly can't do it.
No 3-letter word that starts with gas.
Gas. It's called gas. Gas is a 3-letter word.
The 3-letter word that starts with gas is gas. I can tell you are wrong.
What is it?
The 3-letter word that starts with gas is car. A car starts with gas.
Oh, wow. Not if you got an electric car, it doesn't. Most Teslas don't.
They're owned by a twat. Who cares?
I'll be honest, Simon. We knew this would happen, which is why I asked you. Welcome to your new short segment, explaining jokes with Simon Sampson.
When he's driven 300 miles.
With gas. With gas.
With gas.
And McDonald's.
Which produces gas, let's face it.
It produces a lot of something, I'll tell you that.
Well, that was fun.
That was awful.
It was fun. Shut your face. It's not my fault you can't drive or spell. It was a great idea, and we executed it well, and it's going to edit amazingly.
Adam's buying me dinner on Thursday. I was going to treat him, but now he's buying me dinner.
Yeah, I need to talk to you about that. I might as well say it on the podcast. I now have 2 5-hour sessions tomorrow and Thursday with my local coach. That's right, local coach. Ask away, gentlemen. Ask away.
Oh, is he going to name drop Disney?
No,
you just
Sebastian
did.
Stan.
Oh, Sebastian Stan.
Are you duetting with Taylor Swift? Is that what this is coming down to?
No, darling, I'm above such thing. Edit it out. I don't want them coming to me. She's a goddess designed to make platinum records. Please don't come for me. She's a thinking woman's Josh Groban. Please don't come for me. I'm sorry. It was a joke. It got out of hand. The last thing I need is another angry pop star in my timeline.
The next Taylor Swift album is going to be all about Adam.
You're never going to get back together.
No,
Oh,
I know.
fuck.
I know. Oh, how is it? You can't name a 3-letter word that starts with gas, that you can rattle off every fucking Taylor Swift song. Moving on to our regularly reoccurring segment. See you next Tuesday. Chris Lee Smith, how are we doing this?
The same as last time. So and rather than me coming up with all the questions, I've decided to put you guys in charge of the questions. So it's a bit more varied, and you get to put your.
I've got one for Adam. Everyone can answer it, but I think it's more appreciated of Adam. But I've got a cracking one for you. So, do you prefer to work with Scarlett Johansson or Sebastian Stan?
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. Of course that's going to be the answer.
Adam, you're currently probably going to get nominated for a Golden Globe with Sebastian Stan. Who would you like working with, Sebastian Stan or Scarlett Johansson?
I like them both for different reasons.
Is it because one you saw the titties?
Mate, I saw them both topless. Why are you doing this to me? I'm because of recency bias and recency bias only, because I'm definitely gonna have to see him again. Sebastian Stan.
Does that mean you're never going to work with Scarlett Johansson again? Was she that bad?
No, she was great to work with, but I just don't have it locked in a diary. Whereas I know I'm gonna have to do the festival circuit with Sebastian and Renata.
I just want to know if you're going to wind up on Pornhub with Sebastian Stan.
No. No.
Brokeback Mountain too.
Brokeback Mountain from the horse's point of view.
Let's have Adam's question first.
You can only eat either McDonald's, Pizza Hut, or Taco Bell for a month. What one are you eating and why?
Yeah, I think I'd go Pizza Hut with a recent health kick. I mean, McDonald's is full of shit, and Taco Bell, I've heard from the Americans, because I've never had it, that it turns you into a petty flu factory. So I wouldn't go for that. But pizza, you can have lots of vegetables and bits on. So yeah, Pizza Hut.
And Mr. Duncan Cadburn.
I think for the same reasons. I actually did have a Taco Bell before Christmas. There's just one opened up in Devon, and it's like the only one in Devon, I think. And we went and checked it out. It was actually very tasty, but realistically, I'm on a health kick too. I've lost 4 kilos this week, and I would have to go with Pizza Hut purely because salad bar, there is at least some semblance of healthy. You can't go to McDonald's and ask for healthy. It's like going to an adult bookshop and asking to buy a Bible. You've got to, McDonald's is just shit, and that's what you're going to get. So, yeah, I would have to go Pizza Hut on that basis.
And Simon Sampson.
I never had a Taco Bell.
Are they not Canadian enough for you?
No, they're not.
It reminds me, though, of the Demolition Man film. When I watched that back in, when it was made at the cinemas, it was all about Taco Bell being the only franchise that survived the big franchise wars. I watched it on DVD about 10 years ago, and obviously it had been redone because they had them mouthing Taco Bell and Pizza Hut coming out instead. So it had clearly been remarketed out to whoever wanted to pay to have their name associated with it.
Anyway, double sausage and egg McMuffin breakfast meal with an extra hash brown and hot chocolate every morning. Thank you very much.
What about the other 2 meals of the day?
No, I'll just have one a day. I can survive on that for a month.
Well, there we go. That was mine. Mine was quite friendly. You're all welcome.
You just came up with that on the spot, didn't you? Because I could tell by your face and the way.
Why have we got to bring my face into it? We were getting on so well, and then you go and make that kind of comment. It's not my fault, Chris. Just genetics.
Like the only way is Essex then. Genetics.
It's just genetics, mate. Really.
I've got my question.
Okay.
There is a hostage situation. Okay, a man has a group of hostages held up in a bank. For some unknown reason, you have to pick one of the 4 of us to go in as hostage negotiator. Who are you going to pick and why?
Adam, my God, Adam.
Why?
He might get shot.
Oh, shots fired again. Bit of a war going on.
There really is. I think we should get these 2 their own room and just let it,
Do you have to actually go in the bank to negotiate, or are you one of those that throws the phone and goes, hello?
The choice is it's you're going to give it to someone to act as they would act. So if they choose to go in and be, if you let 3 out, I'll come in. That's up to them. You've got to pick the person you think would handle the situation the best and why. Or depending on what you want the outcome to be.
Okay. I'd send Simon.
Why?
Because he'd bore the fuck out of him and he'd just give up. I can't think of anybody else. I'm just thinking if he's going to tell another one of his stories about Spain or...
Oh, God, he'd be the only hostage negotiator in history to name drop throughout the negotiation. I had this situation with her at Clampton,
I feel bad. Somebody else answer now.
Go on, Simon. You got your shots fired, Simon.
I've already answered.
Yeah,
you would purely pick Adam only so he can get shot.
Adam, your answer.
Well, do I know the hostages? Do I have any emotional attachment to the people in that bank?
Not that we're aware of. Could turn out one of them is your long lost aunt. I don't know. Yeah, you're not aware of any attachment.
No. But depending on what side of the family it's on, they might have voted in a way that I don't approve of. So I reckon Chris would be quite good in that situation. I reckon he'd be able to calm it down, rationalise.
Are we talking about Chris when he's on the meds? Are we talking about on meds or off meds? Because he does turn into the Hook if he's off meds.
Well, on meds, obviously, he'd be like, okay, let the women and children go, and then the guys that didn't vote Tory, and then after that, do what you want, job done. Little bit of sacrifice, little bit of unnecessary death, quite good. It'll be like Rose at the end of Titanic, where it's there's clearly enough room in that door for him, but you just went, I'll never let go, and then let the fuck go. That's what it'll be like. Gentlemen, it's that time of year again. Gone are the days when you got 16 professionals in a room competing for a $1 million job. Now we've got 16 idiots in a room competing for what is quite a junior level position and a half-assed investment from a man who at this point probably doesn't care. I am, of course, talking about the return of The Apprentice. Were we watching? What did we think? I tweeted along. I've already been blocked by 3 of them. Like, it is my guilty pleasure, The Apprentice. Watching adults failing miserably and then trying to scapegoat is, let's all go to the beach. Do we all agree the beach? Well, I don't really think we've all agreed the beach. That's amazing.
I find I'm the same as you, Adam. It's my guilty pleasure. I watch it because it does genuinely make me feel talented. But it's that thing, you just watch these people and it doesn't matter how much you've fucked up in life. At least you're not as big a prick as these people. It's not even that they're stupid. They're just assholes. Every single one of them. It seems to be the criteria is, are you stupid? A bit. Are you an asshole? Fuck yeah.
And do you want to be famous?
Oh, it's Love Island for business.
And there's a bit at the start where he just like reads what they've written on their CV. And one guy's like, I'm the James Bond of business. So a little bit rapey, a little bit sexist, and wonderfully outdated.
And hates facial disfigurement, clearly.
Yeah. And created by a closet racist, allegedly.
If there's something wrong with the face, you hate the human race.
Oh, yeah.
I always go back to the Mitchell and Webb look. That Mitchell and Webb look did a fantastic sum up of what the Apprentice is.
I saw that the other day.
I love it. It's the whole thing of it's just not working. Yeah, we've got professional people looking for a serious position in a business. What about if we just picked assholes? And then it sort of moves on from that. It's like people would watch it and they think they get the joke, and so they're in on it, and they'll keep watching for that. It just nailed it.
The best quote in that is I wouldn't be a millionaire if I sacked 1/5 of my workforce every week.
Well, you've all done really well and made a lot of money, but the format says I've got to fire one of you. Does anyone want to go?
Does anyone want to needlessly?
All right, then I'll
somebody else of something.
All right, I'll fire the fat one.
It's just so bad, but it's car wreck television.
The best thing that hit TV last year, and I think it's the best moment of TV, was Traitors. And that just has blown The Apprentice out of the water completely. Me and Kate were obsessed with Traitors. It was such a good format. And when Wilf came out and said, I'm a traitor, we're like, yes! And they all got the money. It was just brilliant.
That whole thing, I could not play that game. That would be the head fuck from hell. I would be the most paranoid, completely lost in the paranoia of that if I was in there, regardless of whether I was a traitor or a faithful.
Chris, The Apprentice, talk to me. Do you watch it? Do you not watch it? Are you aware of it? Do you loathe it with a burning fury?
I know the concept, but I can't deal with the stupidity, and it's edited in a special way that it makes them come off worse than they are. I despise cheese. I think cheese on television really does my head in, like The Masked Singer. Like especially the UK one. Especially the UK
I love
one
The
where,
Masked Singer.
Right, so there'll be someone on stage and they'll be singing away, and then you'll get one of the judges going, I think it's Beyonce. I think no, it's not fucking Beyonce.
Someone it's never
it's Kevin
gonna be.
from fucking Coronation Street. What the fuck are you on about? He hasn't worked for 15 years.
How much money do you think we have at ITV? you think like Kevin, the researcher from Solihull, called up Beyonce and went, do you want to dress like a typewriter and do a bit of singing for us on something that's watched by maybe 1.2 million people? How much are we paying you? It's about $1,000 an episode, which is the actual number, by the way.
I've had to watch episodes because my son does actually love it, and it's that sort of thing. Oh, well, there you go. But it's the ridiculousness of the guesses that they have, and it goes back to what Chris was saying. It's like you know, these it's only going to be fairly B-grade celebrities, isn't it? Or you know, it's kind of like the jungle. No one who's currently popular and famous is going in the jungle. They're all trying to revive their career or start it. That's the only people that are going to wind up on there. Coming back to The Apprentice, though, I actually worked with a guy who got into the final 24 for going on The Apprentice. He was in the last round.
Was he a dick as well?
Massively. But what he said was, I mean, he was perfect for it because he was one of those guys that he'd sell his grandmother if he thought he'd make a quid from it, and he'd backstab anyone. But one thing he made a point was that you don't sleep. They give you really fucked up hours to sleep and get rest in so that everyone is on edge and not thinking clearly to highlight the stupidity. So you're not thinking in a way that you would lucidly think if you'd had to sleep. And they can go, the whole thing is rigged so that even if you are stupid, you're going to appear a lot more stupid.
For my sins, I actually applied for The Apprentice once, and I got through to the interview stages.
I'm not surprised.
Was this in between joining Mentor or being a politician?
No, I was trying to launch Snowball, and I've been everywhere, and I got turned down by everyone. I didn't have any funds for it, and so I got severely desperate trying to launch it. And me and Kate went to Birmingham, and people actually came up to me and said, "That's the best idea in the room, but it's too sensible."
Did you get the two shows mixed up with Dragon's Den and The Apprentice?
No. What really pissed me off about it as well, we're in the centre of Birmingham, and I had to have a passport photo. And the problem is this is when I couldn't really transfer. I was really struggling, and I couldn't get in the photo booth.
Well, that brings up another point about The Apprentice. When was the last person you saw on there who had any form of disability?
Well, there was that lady last year who had to pull out because she had, I think, MS, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, and just couldn't handle the grind. I had one guy who had, like, tunnel vision or was partially sighted and a Paralympian, and I think he went out week 3. But it's just, I also have this, like, really sickening feeling within myself that if I applied for it and really hammed it up, I'd be a shoo-in. Just to get on there.
I have got a legitimate question. So you're supposed to be working. How has nobody applied for access to work and been on there with a disability? Because you're allowed carers, you're allowed transport, you're allowed support at the interview. How has nobody been there to help people with disabilities to apply for this show and actually show that access to work supports people with disabilities on the show?
Because the BBC do not think like that. And also, again, way too sensible. What they want is for me just to walk in and be like, is your dog stressed? Well, come to my dog yoga sanctuary where your dogs can unwind with a yoga session and then visit our doggy pub. Or
what yoga does he do? Downward dog, that's all he knows.
What's your idea, Adam? It's a dating website for pets. It's called Let's Go Dogging. So we can all agree The Apprentice is the ultimate schadenfreude programming. We shouldn't watch it, but we probably will. Well, it's time now to hand over to our wonderful sponsors at Disability Expo with the Disability Expo news. So guys, over to you. Take it away.
It's a brand new year and 2023 is full of opportunity. As we make plans for the year ahead, many of us think about our career and how we would like to progress. However, workplace accessibility is a barrier to some members of our disabled community being able to reach their full potential. There is a 28 percentage point gap in the employment rate of working age disabled people compared with working age non-disabled people. While the proportion of disabled people with a degree has increased from 15.9% to 23%, the overall employment gap has not narrowed. This needs to change. There is a government programme in the UK called Access to Work, aimed at supporting disabled people to take up or remain in work. Through Access to Work, you can apply for a grant to help pay for practical support with your work, support with managing your mental health at work, and money to pay for communication support at job interviews. However, the application process can be quite daunting and in some cases with a significant wait for an assessment. Alex Hurst and Lizzie Penny, authors of Sunday Times business bestseller Work style, a revolution for well-being, productivity, and society. Believe work should fit around life, and not the other way around.
Work style is the freedom to choose when and where you work. The actual freedom to choose, not just the freedom to flex around 9 to 5, 5 days a week. If you can individualise work, then we level the playing field. We make it so that everyone has the same access to meaningful work.
One of our Disability Expo exhibitors, Adapt IT, said the past 3 years have been tough for everyone, especially those in the disabled community. However, one positive outcome has been the drive to enable more flexible working conditions for all. With this opportunity comes the need to enable the workforce through the provision of suitably set up and configured IT and communications. Implementing a combination of hardware and software, IT can support physical disabilities as well as neurodiversity. We are passionate about empowering people with a disability to reach their full potential, and we'll have a dedicated career zone at our Disability Expo in July, where you can find out more about education, accessing the career you want, and entrepreneurship. We will have exhibitors showcasing products and software that can assist you in your work and may be eligible for funding through Access to Work, as well as DEI leads from an array of inclusive employers, talks on flexible working, selling your skills, building your career, and much more. Register your free ticket for Disability Expo this July.
Changing the tone ever so slightly, it may have come to some of our attentions that a lot of public sector workers and public services have been going on strike. Simon, this is very much in your wheelhouse. As someone who got caught up in the train strike and was forced to spend several £100 on taxis due to it all, and I don't begrudge it. I completely support the strike. I just wish it was cheaper for me to do so. How do you feel about the things with the NHS, the rail strikes, the fire service, and what extra effects does it have on the disabled community that maybe aren't being discussed or highlighted amidst all the fake outrage of people like Julia Hartley-Brewer? Yeah, I said your name. Deal with it, woman.
I texted you guys the other day, yesterday, to explain what happened to me. So I've just come back from East Sussex. I was visiting friends down south, and I get something called epilepsy of the legs. And this varies in degrees on how painful or how annoying it can be. It could be mild shooting pains. It can be pins and needles. And some occasions, it's so bad that I start vomiting. And this happened to me the night before last. I needed medical attention, but there's no point taking me into hospital because there's no treatment for it. What I needed was something called naproxen, which helps to limit the amount of pain I'm in. So I called 111, and this was about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. And they said, right, we've got your medical records. We understand what's going on. You're a priority one. Thought, brilliant. They've got this down to a T. They know what's wrong with me. They've accessed my records. They've got my GP medical notes. I'm going to be sorted in a couple of hours. 11 o'clock the following morning, I got a call from the nurse. Then I got my prescription. I slept all day after that. It put me, it reduced the pain so much that I got to a level where I could actually sleep. Getting caught up, you realize how fucked up the NHS is once you've been caught up with it like that so badly. We just didn't know what to do. We were so isolated by ourselves. Kate, we've been through this a dozen times. It happens now and again, but not on this occasion, on this scale of pain. It does happen. I couldn't move. I couldn't transfer. I couldn't do anything. So Kate had to treat me on the bed. We were so disappointed and so let down by the NHS really easily.
The issue is the pressure that's on there. We had something similar prior to Christmas. You all know my wife's been waiting on a fairly big operation. She woke up with massive pains in her hips. We got in with the GP, who was like, "Oh, I need to do some checks, and we'll phone you and get some meds for you, and you'll be able to go and pick them up." Waited about 7 hours. Finally got heard back from the GP, who said, "You got to go to A&E right now." Drove to A&E, got a speeding ticket on the way. Thank you for 1 mile over. But yeah, got there, got her into A&E, got the kids. It's Christmas holidays. I had to pretty much leave my wife there. 36 hours with what turned out to be septic arthritis, waiting in A&E in a seat, no pain meds, no treatment. just waiting to get through because they wouldn't treat her until she was on a ward and there were no beds left or available. The whole thing is falling apart, and it's not the doctors, it's not the nurses, it's not the NHS, it's the government behind it who aren't funding, who aren't taking care of it. They're quite happy to sing their praises while it was COVID, and now they're quite happy to let it all fall apart again, and it's fucked up, and that's as simple as that.
Well, there was a conversation on Good Morning Britain, excuse me, I believe yesterday, where they talk about Rishi Sunak gets private healthcare, so does he really understand the NHS and what it needs and how badly the Tories have ruined it in 12 years? And Richard Maley asked, is it practical for Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, to go and sit in A&E for 6 hours, maybe on the floor, and wait for treatment? And the bloke just went, yeah, we've all got to do it. And it just shows the real them-and-us attitude that I think underlies in 2023. And I got like genuinely angry at that quote. A lot of what Richard Maley says like winds me up to no end. Chris, have you seen it?
I have seen it, and it seems like he stepped into that role of Tory apologist or the government apologist, where he tries to find reasoning for what they're doing, and it always comes off as incredibly stupid. The issue that the government have got now is that they have basically set each sector up like dominoes now. If they pay one, they have to pay them all. And now the teachers are going to a vote with the unions. So I think it's this Friday that they're going to vote whether they strike or not. So not only are we going to have the firefighters, border force, the NHS, the rail, we're going to maybe have teachers going on strike as well.
Going back to that Richard Maley statement, surely the better answer to that question would be, no, it's not appropriate. But why is it appropriate for anyone else?
Yeah.
The fact is, waiting, like I say, 6 hours wasn't, it was 36 hours before my wife got in.
I've got a friend who's a professor at Leicester University, and she went into A&E because she thought she had a problem breathing, and she thought she had a pulmonary embolism on her lung. Luckily, it wasn't that, but it took over 30 hours to get it diagnosed because she had to go from one hospital to the next, and she didn't actually have a bed. She was sitting in a chair. One of the things that has dramatically impacted the NHS over the past couple of years, and I've seen this from both sides, my ex, a long time ago, was training to be a nurse, and she got paid to train to be a nurse with the university grants. You didn't have to take out a student loan. You didn't have to repay it afterwards. You got paid to be a nurse. And when she wasn't working, she was a healthcare assistant. So not only was she getting employed by the NHS, she was also working part-time as a trainee nurse and then part-time as a healthcare assistant. Now you have to take out a student loan to train to be a nurse, and therefore you've got to pay it back out of your wages. And there's no compulsory to be a nurse with the NHS after you've done your degree, where beforehand you had to do a minimum of 3 years or something along those lines. So the whole system, the Tories have changed in that time, has affected the NHS, not only from healthcare assistants, but to doctors, to nurses, and how they are trained.
I think that's one aspect. I think it goes well beyond that.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I'm scared to ask this question, but I'm going to anyway. Brexit has surely done more damage to the NHS than good.
We had just again shortly before Christmas. My daughter has an anti-anxiety med which she really needs. They ran out of it. They couldn't get it. The problem was Brexit. We're not getting it from overseas. They're finding it hard to resource. So medication that she needs, to which there wasn't an alternative. In the end, I think I spent 12 hours running around most of Devon to finally wind up at a hospital who agreed to give me it from the hospital pharmacy so that she could have this medication that she needs, because last time when she didn't have it, she wound up in hospital for 4 days having a psychotic episode. That's what we're dealing with. Brexit has completely fucked the supply chain, and it's happening to a lot of medications. We had to switch a medication for my wife purely because they simply can't get it anymore.
The UK's great at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, it's a
And
wonderful place, isn't it? Land of opportunity.
But with medication, that's like a real big deal. It's not like, oh, I couldn't get soft mints. Well, but they've got polos.
Yeah.
That'll do. It's like way more complicated than that. And I truly believe that the government don't understand because they just watch from a distance and make throw promises and write nonsense on the side of buses. And I think, oh, where are we going to get the money for all these pay rises? Oh, the same place you got the money for your mates to make dodgy PPI. The same place you get the money for your heating bills on your second house that 332 politicians gladly took you up on. One of which was Michael Fabricant. I've got to make sure I don't say his name wrong.
All right.
I said it wrong.
Well, I'm just
purposely. I think with your story as well, Duncan, and a few others, I think that's a step down on the urgency ladder. It's not pleasant, don't get me wrong, but when you have people that are having heart attacks,
this is
and they're having to wait sort of 16 hours for an ambulance, and they are dying. Some in the back of ambulances because they can't get into the hospital to get treated. There's a real fear. There's a real fear in this country that if something goes wrong,
you're not going to get the treatment needed.
Yourself, you're not going to get the treatment needed.
It's the worst NHS system I've seen in my lifetime, and probably my mum's lifetime, my grandmother's lifetime. Tories have been involved, they've been in power for 14, 15 years now, and it's just getting worse. We need a change. It sounds horrible, but it needs ripped up, starting all over again, and redesigning of the system because it's clearly not working and people do not want to use the health service.
Rishi Sunak can't work a petrol pump. I have zero faith that he's using NHS. If it would fix all the issues with the NHS, would you all be willing to pay a little bit more national insurance?
Not while the Tories are in power, no.
I don't think it would be appropriated properly. It's that whole thing, realistically, we can't go private because my family's needs would be, you're not getting away with this cheaply. Couldn't afford it.
I did get a private quote for myself once, and they wanted £30,000 a year off me because of my cordia equina syndrome. I think it's got to the stage where we're beyond throwing money at the NHS. They've been throwing money at the NHS for years, and it's just getting sucked up and drowned out into God knows where, PPE claims and stuff and whatever. It can't carry on like this. They need a complete overhaul of services, a complete redesign.
Well, there we go, Keir Starmer. If you're watching this, which I know you are, because tweeted you. There we go. That's what you got to do. Break it, rebuild it like the $6 million Man, which is a great little film. It turns out that Bigfoot, also a robot, spoiler alert on a 35-year-old film. As a man who is familiar with the world of pornography, one of my least favourite kinds of pornography is inspiration pornography. That might be the best segue I've ever done. Let me know in the comments. Chris Lee Smith, inspiration porn. Talk to me.
I wanted to bring this up. See, with disability, ever since my son was diagnosed as autistic, I became part or adjacent to the disabled community. And a lot of times, even when I didn't know what terminology meant, I would still blindly follow. Like if there was a rule, you don't do it, even if I didn't know what it meant. It seemed like a safe bet. But for this one, as it's kind of a safe space, and as we've discussed before on social media, you can't really ask the question without being attacked. So I wanted to know what the meaning of it was, and I had some other questions as well. So could Adam or Simon describe what inspirational porn is and if it is right or wrong?
I really like the term, because if you look at traditional porn or analog porn, as the Christians call it, what you're doing is using someone's physical characteristics to give yourself some kind of pleasure. And so when we look at inspirational porn, it's sort of like black and white disabled kids I see your true colors shining through. That's people are using those people's physical characteristics to give themselves some kind of emotional buzz, if you will, to either make themselves feel good or generous or righteous or noble. Oh my god, that moved me. I'm a good person.
So
I
what you're
think
saying is they're all looking for happy endings.
yeah, absolutely.
See, I typed in inspirational porn in Google, and Adam came up with Scarlett Johansson.
Really, or are you just being a cockwomble?
I believe it because his phone. Oh, when we did the live episode, the group episode for Christmas, his phone kept coming up with suggested websites for porn.
Did it say suggested or did it say most visited?
Frequently visited, wasn't it?
Yes, that was it. Frequently, yeah, that was it. And what did he say? It was some sort of virus, or or does it keep coming up? I have got a question going back to it. If because it was all to do with a tweet, and it was actually Disability Expo who put it up. My question was, if it's helping somebody else in terms of inspiring them to do better, is that still wrong?
So there's an underlying fundamental question there, because even the word inspiration sort of like makes my heart jump out of my mouth a little bit. And even today I was doing a seminar at Lambda, like an acting school, and people are like, "Oh, you're so inspirational." And in the end, I'm like, "Okay, if you think I'm inspirational, rock and roll. Here's my question: what have I inspired you to do? If seeing me has inspired you to go out, work harder, be more inclusive and more mindful of making this industry more inclusive of disabled people, rock and roll. However, if what you mean by saying I'm inspirational is you're glad you're not like me, disabled, but good for you for trying, then fuck you and everything you stand for."
So it's almost double mean. Like if it's inspired them for the right reasons, then it's okay. But for the wrong reasons, obviously, from your second point, it is definitely not okay. And obviously, I understand that. But so it's got two levels, whether it's right or wrong.
I think it's multifaceted. I think to say that, put like a blanket statement out there that something isn't okay, and I get the objection to it. But also, I don't think there's a one size fits all to this, or like a supreme solution that's gonna fix it all. And I think if it does happen, and it even makes a little bit of positive difference, if the positives outweigh the negatives, I'll happily take some kind of hit to my ego or meta narrative. There's a quote from a song by Matt Nathanson that says, "Until the world decides to catch up with me, I'll learn to get by with the little victories." And I think that sometimes coming at it with that sort of thought process in mind, saying, okay, that wasn't perfect, but the good outweighs the bad, so all in all, I'll sleep fine.
Okay.
Is sometimes a noble, righteous thing to do.
It's like we've had on the show, haven't we? Where he interviewed Mark Tremonti with me, was Josh Reeves, and his Twitter, the whole thing that he does is "Don't call me special." He finds it really patronizing. It's like, well, no, I'm just a guy who's got some challenges that gets on with life. I don't need to be called special.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure Adam does as well. I hate being called inspirational. It makes me want to vomit. I'm living my life a normal chap. Yes, I can't walk. Yes, I'm dyslexic. I'm not an inspiration. I'm trying to live my life.
So you didn't like when that guy patted you on the head then? That's
no, strangely enough, I didn't. No. Yeah.
I apologize. Why do we keep bringing it up?
But if they said, like, you're inspirational because you're a journalist, and I'm inspired to be like you for your work.
If it was for the work, absolutely fine. If they read my stuff, that's fine. But don't do it because I'm in a wheelchair.
No, that's what I mean. They're inspired by the work, not because of your disability.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like what Adam had to say there. I think the idea of going back and saying, what have I inspired you to do? Because that really, that's what inspiration should be, isn't it? It's what you
Yeah.
an inspiration leads to an action. If not, it's
Yeah.
oh, you've made me feel good. That's
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah. Because again, I feel that when I jack off, hence the term inspirational porn. But really, have I made the world a better place? No.
Not when you do that.
No.
If it stopped you reproducing, yeah.
Just future generations of piercing children slowly dripping off my knuckles.
Oh, and on that note,
And if anyone wants to draw that and send it to us on Twitter, please don't.
It's Monica Lewinsky all over again.
Was it all over again? I did not have sexual relations with that woman, and I stand by that. And on that note, gentlemen, that rounds up the first episode of 2023. Are we excited for the year that lies ahead? Simon Sampson, 1 to 10, how excited are you?
15.
15 out of 10. Nice. Yeah. That's the dyslexia kicking in right there. Chris, 1 to 10, how excited are you?
I'm going to say 10. 10. I've got a new lease of life, so I'm excited to see what it brings.
Fantastic. Me too. I'm right there with you. And Duncan Casburn, 1 to 10, how excited are you?
I'm reticent to give a reading on the basis that every year I go, well, that was a shit year finished. Can only go up from here. And then we get to the end of another shit year, and I think, well, that's another shit year finished.
There we go.
I'm going to set my expectations low and hope for high.
There we go. So 3 10s and a 3. Happy days. Gentlemen, if people want to get hold of you, find you, learn more about you on your social medias, how can they do so? Simon Sampson, we'll start with you.
You can download my app, Snowball Community, and start leaving reviews. Otherwise, I'm banned from Twitter. So now you can only get me on Snowball Community, on Facebook and Twitter, because I've still got my Snowball Community Twitter account. Oh, we've also got a new LinkedIn account as well with Grumpy Gits, who, get liking us on LinkedIn.
Chris Lee Smith, where can the people find you on the old Tinterweb?
You find me on Twitter, The Real Grump Dad. Duncan
Casburn.
PDA Dad UK on pretty much any social platform because I haven't been banned
yet. And you can find me at Adam_Pearson on the old Twitter machine. I'll be getting at GB News and Talk Radio presenters like a boss, and also just throwing out random things. If you want a running commentary on The Apprentice, I'm your guy. I'm absolutely your guy. Other than that, nothing useful is on there at all right now. Well, from all of us to all of you, happy 2023. Like, comment, subscribe, come find us on the internet, come engage with us. We love hearing from you. Happy New Year. And as always, don't be grumpy alone. Mwah. Take care.